First up, U.S. President Donald Trump on Wednesday said that nothing would jeopardize the Gaza ceasefire. He also said that Israel should hit back if its soldiers are killed. The statement came after Israeli planes launched strikes in Gaza on Tuesday. Now, this is the latest test of the fragile deal brokered by President Trump. The Israeli military said Wednesday it had reinstated the Gaza ceasefire after carrying out a series of strikes on dozens of militant targets since the previous day. It further said that its strikes hit 30 Hamas commanders in Gaza. An Israeli strike hit a residential building near Shifa Hospital, the largest operational hospital in northern Gaza. 2 people were wounded in an attack on a tent in Zaveda in the central Gaza Strip as well. A statement from Israel said Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu ordered powerful strikes on Gaza. Defense Minister Israel Katz accused Hamas of carrying out an attack against Israeli forces in an area of the enclave that is under Israeli control. Both sides have accused each other of violating the ceasefire. The issue flared up when Prime Minister Netanyahu said that Hamas had violated the ceasefire by turning over some wrong remains in a process of returning the bodies of hostages to Israel. Israeli forensics said that the remains handed over on Monday belonged to Ofer Zarfati, an Israeli killed during Hamas's 7th October 2023 attacks. Zarfati's remains had already been partially retrieved by Israeli troops during the conflict.
The remains of a deceased hostage from Gaza, and following the identification process, it was determined the partial remains belong to Ofer Zarfati, a 27-year-old who was murdered in Hamas captivity after being kidnapped from the Nova Music Festival. The IDF rescued his body from Gaza in November of 2023, where he was later buried in Israel by his family. In March of 2024, additional remains of Ophir were returned to Israel for burial.
Under the ceasefire terms, Hamas released all living hostages in return for nearly 2,000 Palestinian convicts and wartime detainees, while Israel pulled back its troops and halted its offensive. The U.S.-backed ceasefire agreement went into effect on 10th October, halting 2 years of conflict triggered by deadly Hamas-led attacks on Israel on the 7th of October in 2023. Right, joining us is Professor Rajan Kumar from the School of International Studies at the Jawaharlal Nehru University in New Delhi. Professor Kumar, welcome to DD India. Now, to begin with, Trump says that a U.S.-backed ceasefire in Gaza is not at risk. Now, this after Israel kills scores of people in response to the killing of one Israeli soldier. Do you share his assessment?
Thank you, Ramesh, for having me here.
Welcome.
Let me tell you that that Trump has the way he has been dealing with this issue of ceasefire. I think he's probably mishandling the issue, and there is some kind of he's overemphasizing on the issue of ceasefire without making an attempt, a serious attempt, I mean, to resolve the issue. He is not addressing the real issues of Palestine and Gaza. The real issue is about Israel has to stop firing. If Israel fires, the ceasefire cannot hold. Still, Israel is firing. This is not the first time that has happened. Earlier also, we also had program exactly on this issue. Earlier also, Israel attacked. Now, continuously, Israel is attacking. But Trump is under no position to control Netanyahu's behavior. It seems that even if he controls Netanyahu, the other right-wing forces, which have massive influence in the Israeli army, etc., they may not be under Netanyahu's control also. That's a possibility. Recently, the right-wing coalition of Israel, they passed a resolution in the Knesset, the parliament of Israel, where they said that the sovereignty of Israel extends over West Bank and Gaza. And Netanyahu could not stop that bill. And it will go through several processes before it actually Israel starts taking action. But that shows how Netanyahu is getting weaker politically, domestically. And now, but at the same time, Netanyahu cannot be seen as a weak prime minister in Israel. So he has to show to the domestic constituency that he is taking action. And that's exactly the reason you see the term, if you analyze the term that he said, he will take the hardest possible action in his order he has said against Gaza, etc. So that shows that ceasefire is not holding, clearly it's not holding. And there are pressures from different parties. Yes, because Trump claimed it as one of the biggest achievements of his foreign policy. So he has to say that ceasefire is holding. But if you see the statements of even Vice President, this Vance, etc., so there are contradictory and conflicting messages which are coming
Right.
even from the United States administration. Yeah.
Professor Kumar, I hear you, but Trump says Israel had the right to act in the manner it did. Surely that's a reasonable position to take?
I think that every state has a right to act against terrorists, etc. Because Hamas, that was part of the agreement also.
Right.
The Cairo ceasefire plan that that happened between U.S., Israel, and the other parties. Even in that, Israel had the right to strike if there is a terrorist strike. But it's not, But this is you are striking the same set of people with whom you had negotiations. Hamas was the key party of the key party. I mean, represented by other people, but Hamas was the key party of this conflict. But now Hamas is being attacked. It's not the terrorists from some other country, Lebanon or Iran, etc., that they are being attacked. So essentially, what it means that with this kind of approach, ceasefire is unlikely to hold. But yes, every state has a right to strike. That's that cannot be denied. Yeah.
Fair enough. We've discussed about Israel, Professor. Let's spare a moment for the Hamas now. What do we know about Hamas? Does it still retain the capability to hurt Israel, or do you think it has completely been defanged by Israel's Operation Iron Swords?
I think there are two sides of it. One is the objective reality. If you see in terms of the objective capacity of Hamas, it has been obliterated. His network has been destroyed. Most of the leaders have been killed. But if you see Hamas as an ideological force, so that cannot be destroyed. That's the challenge. And the fact that even when in a small territory, Israel has been fighting so long, and it has not managed to destroy Hamas completely, and Hamas is attacking. This attack happened because Israel says that Hamas attacked the Israeli army, and after that there was retaliation. So if Hamas retains that capacity, that means there's some kind of support which is there. And also let me tell you that if you see the statements which are coming from other sides, say for instance what Turkey has said, what Saudi Arabia, etc., has said, they have clearly said that Israel is not respecting the ceasefire. So which means that Hamas is not only in the area of what you call it Gaza and West Bank. Hamas is also has its network in other places, and it has a huge ideological support from a number of countries. The sad reality is that US is trying to establish what you call ceasefire through Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Jordan, Egypt, etc. It has not taken into account one of the key parties of the conflict, Iran. And that's exactly the reason I believe that for a long term, it's unlikely that the ceasefire will hold.
Now, talking about the Hamas in detail, Professor Kumar, Trump has said the following about Hamas, and I quote him here. He says, if they are not good, they are going to be terminated, unquote. Now, do we know whether Hamas has agreed to disarm just yet?
No, not yet. There is no commitment coming from the direct Hamas representative saying that that was part of the process, demilitarization. This was the second step after extending hostages, a ceasefire for some time. The second stage, it was that it will demilitarize, surrender, etc. But in my view, that is very unlikely to happen. Because Hamas, that organization knows, and the people associated with that organization, they know that if they surrender, they'll have the fate of maybe lifetime imprisonment, or maybe they'll be targeted at some point of time because they don't trust Israel at all. So demilitarization is the real challenge, which was part of the next process and the reconstruction, etc. But I think even today, I don't see that demilitarization is happening the way the things are proceeding. And the next stage of ceasefire, which was about to begin, that can also be stalled and stopped now. Because ceasefire, the way Israel has been attacking, and not only that, if you follow the domestic politics of Israel, the right-wing coalition are targeting Netanyahu, and his political position is very weak, and it's all because there are cases, corruption charges, etc. So he also has a fear that he has to continue as a ruler. If he doesn't continue, then he might come under pressure and he might be sent to jail also. And as a consequence, he has to take a very tough action against Hamas. Otherwise, he'll be seen as a prime minister who could not stop Hamas and who could not destroy Hamas.
Right.
So these are the complications and realities of Gaza and Israel. And that's why ceasefire will not hold. I think otherwise, or this kind of breaking of the ceasefire will continue, in my opinion.
Right. Point taken, Professor. Now, looking ahead, it has been reported that an international force to stabilize Gaza could include troops from Pakistan, besides Indonesia and Azerbaijan. Would you welcome it? Would New Delhi be okay with it?
Absolutely not. Why New Delhi? Even United States should not be okay with it. US has to. US would be the key player in any country where where this is command control and the entire system is. If you have the US Army and that is controlled by the US, have no second views on that. That would be completely controlled by US. But having Pakistan against because Pakistan is not a neutral party. Let me tell you. On the issue of Israel and Hamas, Gaza, Pakistan has clearly said that that it doesn't recognize Israel. It has said that it doesn't. It supports this what you call Hamas operations again. So Pakistan is not a neutral party, and especially from the Indian perspective, especially when US and India they have close ties. They have geopolitical convergence of interest on the issue of China and other issues. In that context, it doesn't send a very strong message or good message to India, where US is trying to include army from Pakistan and even Azerbaijan, which have taken a stand against India,
Right.
even on the issue of terrorism. When we had terrorist attack in Jammu and Kashmir, Pakistan
Indeed.
didn't accept that it was a terrorist attack at all. So in that kind of situation, I don't think that's a good move by United States. This will alienate India, and US has to understand at some point of time.
I'm afraid that's all we have time for. I will have to leave it at that. Professor Kumar, thank you for joining us and sharing your perspectives with our viewers in India and around the world. Thank you. Appreciate it.